Hello YouTube, what is up? This is the Waits Bomber, and today I'll be bringing you a video about autism, and namely how the autism awareness group Autism Speaks seems to really hate the autistic community. Or, if they don't hate the community, then they're really bad about helping the community. What do I mean? Project MSSNG. Now, for those of you not aware of the Twitter hashtag going around, Twitter, it's basically a project started by Autism Speaks and Google to sequence the DNA of 10,000 people with autism and share it with scientists around the world in the hopes of finding a cure. Now, I know what you're thinking here. Well, that's not too bad. Helping these people is, of course, one of the top priorities, and curing them seems like the best thing you can do. I mean, this is a horrible mental disease, and the people who have it are suffering. Except if you're thinking that, you're wrong. Dead wrong. First things first, people with autism aren't really suffering. Well, at least higher functioning autism. I don't know about lower functioning, but I would assume it's just kind of their life, Not really suffering all that much. People who are suffering are the people around them. You could make a case for that. The people around them are suffering because of it. But I wouldn't say the people themselves are suffering. The people who have autism are suffering in life. Unless, they're a homeless bum on the street. In which case, yeah, that is actual genuine suffering. But if they're living at home with their parents, comfortable, it's not really suffering. It's not like they're in pain all day long. No, it's just sort of the way they are, not really suffering. And secondly, calling it a disease seems to be really insensitive and kind of offensive, as I've noticed. Mostly offensive, but also kind of insensitive, mostly because it's who they are kind of thing. That's the way those people are. They have autism, and they learn to adapt and deal with it and live out their lives the best they can. Because you know what? It's not really much of a disease. It's really just a separate way of thinking. But the problem is, when you use a term like disease, you get people thinking, oh, our first priority must be to cure this no matter what. When in reality, when you're talking mental disabilities, it's better to treat them. Treat people with the mental disability, like autism. What do I mean? Well, building support groups, getting psychiatrists and therapists to help these people, especially if their families are lower income. Problem is, Autism Speaks doesn't really want to do that. What makes me say that? $50 million. That is how much was spent on MSSNG. Think of all the support groups, all the help you could have built with that. You starting to see where I'm coming from here? Starting to see where it's frustrating? And I know what some people are going to say. Oh, you just hate science and you hate progressing science. And it's not really hating science. I love science, to be perfectly honest. What I hate is lack of priority. And that's definitely it. Lack of priority. Because at the end of the day, like I said before, autism is just the way they live. I mean, sure, people with autism need help adjusting to day-to-day life, but I wouldn't say that they're diseased. Just think differently. Think the quote-unquote wrong way from everyone else. And is that really so bad? I mean, some of the greatest minds of our basically last millennium have had autism. I think it was, I forget which one it was, but it was a famous Renaissance painter. And he was alleged to have autism. Namely, one of the roots of autism, one of these, side effects of having autism is that you're not really good about grooming yourself. So the man was considered disgusting even by the standards of his time. And by that I mean he had really bad toenails and he was filthy everywhere. He's actually fairly disgusting. That man was speculated to have autism. Thomas Jefferson was speculated to have autism at one point. Mostly because, scientists have charted out, psychiatrists have charted out, I think it's 5 symptoms of autism, and Jefferson showed 4 of the 5. The guy was a bit eccentric, we finally got to play as Sora. He was also fairly obsessive about his records, which,
sorry if you can hear beeping out there, that's my
frugal
laundry.
But autistic people do tend to be
now we can finally play
obsessive,
which is awesome.
Part of that whole their mind works differently.
What
I'm trying to say here is, people with autism can benefit and change the world in ways we
Hang on, what these idiots have to say.
But instead we're treating them like victims, and insulting them, and demeaning them by doing so. Starting to see a problem
I take that
here?
back.
I hope you do.
Don't want to say anything.
But with that being said,
I get the feeling no one's going to have
if you like this video,
anything
be sure to
interesting.
comment, like, rate, and subscribe. Like this video if you want to see more of this. And I'll see you guys next time.
Hey
guys, welcome.